Jack Kemp once said, "Economic growth doesn't mean anything if it leaves people out." Frantic and often chaotic social and political opinions are spinning throughout American society as the United States approaches a national election for president comes November 2024. With no viable, qualified, and well-informed candidate to choose from, Americans are left to their own demise, having only two options between two evils. My name is Dr. David Walaloo, and you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict. Our show today is sponsored by Noble Gold. In this video, I'm going to provide you an in-depth analysis while answering the question of whether China owns the 21st century. So, fasten your seatbelt and let's take a ride on the geopolitical highway. While most Americans and those in the collective West are being fed a narrative that is divorced from reality, engagements or discussions are wide-ranging, including presidential election integrity, rigged voting systems, government and political corruption, campaigns of misinformation, and a broken tax system that favors the wealthy over the common man. A dysfunctional education system, one that is failing our students across the board. As to the sick care, healthcare system, well, don't even start me on that, given how Big Pharma is the one controlling the process, not the government. I will let you draw your own conclusion. And now, with the ongoing chaos in the Ukraine saga, which the collective West created and continued to foment, Americans may well be overlooking an even bigger problem. Are we unconsciously consigning the American dream to the proverbial dustbin? Now a word from our sponsor, Noble Gold. The US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 1970s, when the dollar decoupled from gold. And the government seems bent on continuing the tradition. From now until after the next elections, the government can print as much money as it wants. The last time the government did that, inflation went up 9%. This means one thing: the security of your future and your family's future is all in your hands. Make sure you freeze the value of the wealth you are holding. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the one asset that has proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats. Noble Gold Investments is here to help you if you want to invest in gold. You will also get a 24-karat, 1/4 ounce gold standard coin for free. Go to geopoliticsgold.com. That's geopoliticsgold.com. The only gold company I trust. There are always risks in investments and there are no guarantees. Now back to our show. When considering how the next century belongs to China, many are asking serious questions. Has America reached the end of its journey? Is the present democracy, however you perceive it to be, gasping its last breath? Consider what the United States has become: a nation divided, a dysfunctional government with corrupted Congress, fragmented intelligence communities, and a tainted law enforcement system. The spirit of the American dream is ceasing to exist. My purpose is not to merely paint a dark image about America, but rather to present facts as I see them and as they are. I hope that doing so will help the common man understand and deals with the many social ills infecting his or her daily life, our country, and his or her outlook. Turning to China, it is my position that it will own the next century, whether we like it or not. Some Americans will disagree, citing that China is not a democracy. Yet, I challenge them to explain why they are staying silent when the Electoral College overtakes their vote in the presidential elections. Yet, when it comes to China, these individuals are willing to speak vociferously. I challenge them as to why our beloved government is sending our tax dollar to a corrupted government in Ukraine while our infrastructure is crumbling before our own eyes. I challenge them to ask why some of us have become so numb to what is going on around us, easily distracted and clearly manipulated. One thing is sure, China's rise on the world stage has been nothing short of remarkable. With its economic growth outpacing its political developments, there's growing debate what the future holds for this Asian giant. When it comes to the debate over China's future dominance of the world stage, there are mainly two positions. The pro side focuses on China's economic rise and the increasing gap between its economic and political developments, the latter of which they contend has not kept up pace with the former. Given China's need for natural resources to fuel its economic growth and its internal capabilities, the pro side felt China would grow increasingly belligerent and imperialist economically, if not militarily. Using history as my guide, look at the United States' trajectory after World War II. The con side attributed China's exponential growth to a catch-up phase, an assessment that could not be far from the truth, in my opinion. China developed a strategy over time that is now paying off. Beijing achieved its goals, and more to come once the Belt and Road Initiative is completed, its projects in the Arctic concluded. Its cooperation with Russia continues despite their historical animosity and evolves beyond bilateral trades as the world is currently witnessing. Those who argue against the inevitable rise of China have not learned enough and do not understand China's history and civilization. Similarly, the same individuals do not recognize the gradual decline of the United States. I encourage an objective look at what is taking place in America today. Reality is setting in. The reality that a reported 20% of households own more than 84% of the wealth. The American dream, part of our very identity, is fading amidst our recklessness, ignorance, and petty obsessions. We are experiencing political squabbling, corruption, a dysfunctional Congress, mediocre education system, income inequality, lack of meaningful investments, a crumbling infrastructure, and yes, a broken tax system. Even the US intelligence community is fragmented, given its recent operations failures, including the July 14, 2020 execution in Iran of an alleged CIA spy, Sayyid Mohammed Masavi Majd. The intelligence community's failure to protect its human assets further undermine its future operations. Ironically, it seems the American dream is now more attainable for people residing outside the US, like those in China, rather than those living here. This suggests that little or no incentive exists for Americans, specifically the middle class, to work as hard to reach that dream. Is this defeatist attitude the result of a corrupted system in Washington? Or is it that many citizens have lost faith in the American dream itself? Instead of being the envy of the world, according to Legatham Institute in London, we have dropped to number 18 in a reliable survey, Pathways from Poverty to Prosperity, behind Denmark, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, Finland, Netherlands, New Zealand, Germany, Luxembourg, Iceland, United Kingdom, Ireland, Austria, Canada, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia. It speaks volume about how even our allies now view us. Wake up, America! Evidence is becoming clearer. We are no longer the greatest country in the world. I understand why the West, including the United States, worry about China's ascent to a global power, especially for a country once humiliated by so many foreign powers in its contemporary history. As I conduct research for my next book about China, I realize more and more that China does not seek global dominance, nor will it display its power to take revenge on those who once humiliated it in the past. In many ways, competition between the United States and China is just that, a rivalry between two powerful countries. But it is also much more than that. This is a contest not only between two rival states, but also between two rival hierarchies. As the United States and China square off against each other, they are also vying for the allegiance of countries across the globe. The broad arena of competition does increase the number of potential points of friction and raise the odds that countries wishing to remain outside the contest will be dragged into it. But the main effect is to force the United States and China to outdo each other, to the benefit of the states they are trying to woo. Just as competition between the United States and the Soviet Union contributed to remarkable accomplishments such as sending humans to the moon, developing civilian nuclear powers, and lifting millions out of poverty, so too could the new era of international rivalry. One thing is sure, China is no longer accept the slow strangulation by the United States. I believe Beijing will resist and challenge the West on all fronts, including military dimensions, an outcome that I hope never emerges. As always, prepare yourself for changing world order. Till next time.